For part 2 of the Update 7.9 refines, this time we'll be talking about Itsuki and the Mythic Remixes for Mirabilis and Hel. We'll go over all the new effects and discuss some build ideas. If you missed part 1, we went over the refines for the Chuji Legends 5 winners, Brave Eirika, Marth, Gatekeeper, and Marianne. I'll have links to that video if you missed it. First up, we have Itsuki, who is going to be our first Tokyo Mirage Sessions unit getting a refine. If you don't know what TMS is, basically it was a crossover spinoff between Shin Megami Tensei and Fire Emblem. It's developed by Atlus, and the reason we got a TMS banner in Faye was due to the release of the port from the Wii U to the Switch version in 2020. When Engage first was revealed, a lot of comparisons to the TMS characters with their Mirages. Now, as a unit, Itsuki is a heroic growth sword armature unit with decent attack and hovers in that awkward low 30 speed ballpark. His defense is okay, but his resistance is actually pretty high for this class type. Itsuki's Mirage Falchion previously focused on attack and defense, but the refine actually will take into account speed and res if you're looking for a unit with a decent amount of everything. Now, Mirage Falchion is a 16-point weapon that grants +3 flat defense and is effective against dragons. If Itsuki initiates combat, he gets bonus attack, speed, defense, and res. This value is equal to 4 plus number of allies who have already acted times 3. If 2 allies have already acted, you hit the max +10 to all stats. Now, if the foe initiates combat, Itsuki will also gain bonus to all stats. This time it's 10 minus the number of foes who have acted times 3. If 2 foes have acted, you will hit the minimum +4 to all stats. Itsuki then heals 7 HP after combat. If you didn't know, the Blade Session and Shield Session skills / sacred seals are references to the mechanics from Tokyo Mirage Sessions. Mirage Falchion uses both mechanics for player phase and enemy phase stats. Basically, on the player phase, Itsuki wants to move later on, preferably after 2 allies have already gone. For the enemy phase, Itsuki is strongest early. In a nice addition to this weapon, it now will boost speed and res. The minimum stat boost has been raised by 1, while the max stat boost has been raised by 3 points. The after combat healing is also a new effect. As for the refine, if unit initiates or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant +4 to all stats, unit gets a free follow-up attack, and reduce damage from the foe's first hit by 30% during combat. Nothing flashy going on here. Generally, the one nice thing to see for slower heroic rail refines is that free follow-up attack. Itsuki has enough speed to make use of it into tanks, and will have it for either phase along with some nice damage reduction. If you're confused about the stat boost, basically at minimum for either phase, Itsuki will get at least +8 to all stats. At maximum, he can hit +14. While Mirage Falchion is basically just stats, a follow-up, and 30% DR for 1 hit, it will also have that healing effect and dragon effectiveness. Having a higher res stat Falchion user is quite nice. For builds, we have some new skills that might be interesting for slightly bulkier units like Itsuki who don't have accelerated specials. Gambit 4 from Brave Robin is an incredibly fun skill. It incentivizes high cooldown special usage, with the Gambit being you're going to have to work harder to proc those specials. However, if Itsuki were to run a 5 cooldown Aether, he could get 15 true damage on hit and 50% extra DR for all attacks. Mirage Falchion's 30% DR is one time only. Gambit 4 can stack on a little extra for that first hit and then provides reliability for multi-hit assaults. The extra true damage is also nice with Itsuki's free follow-up. I mean, if you can, 30 extra damage is pretty good. While other classes may have to deal with longer charge times, Infantry have access to lots of cooldown skills. That includes the newest skill line, Pledge 4. Attack and Speed Pledge may not be the best stat variant for Itsuki, but we basically combine the O3 self buffs with breath type cooldown sacred seals. It's better than both because you got the 2 space buffing range, and the breath type status works on both phases. It's not perfect synergy with the 5 cooldown Aether, but Gambit 4 also works on either phase, and so does Mirage Falchion. You could also go for Ignis. You're going to get less true damage in DR, but Pledge will charge it in 2 actions, which is nice. For A skills, a lot of options here. Ideal 4 would work with the Pledge status and its mixed phase. Unity or Distant Counter works with defensive play. If you want to try the new Prime 4, be my guest. Could also do tier 3 dual stances if you want guard. Now on the opposite side of Gambit, Itsuki could run the lower cooldown specials and try to go for as much special spam as possible. Special Spiral 4 provides the big DR Pierce potential and it recharges -2 cooldown. You can also pair that with Times Pulse 4 as well as Steady Breath. That could let Itsuki counter with Bonfires instantly, although you're kind of wasting some specials here with this setup. Now you could also do something like Pledge with a 2 cooldown special. If you were to initiate and the special was pre-charged from, say, Special Spiral, you can have the chance for double special procs, which is interesting. Now, for any lower cooldown special spammy builds, Finish 4 is a great complement. It also gives us extra healing with Mirage Falchion. For some other skills, I think no follow-up can work, either the tier 4 or the Sacred Seal. Itsuki will have enough speed to double slower units. No follow-up is extra insurance in case they have defense enough follow-up, plus it stops their doubles as well. You could also try Attack Smoke 4 if you just want the Fall Denial on its own. For B skills, Bulwark is another sustain option if you want the obstruct effects. For percent DR options, you can try to get Guard 4. Technically Brash Assault 4 works too. No C Disrupt 4 could be run, maybe if you're trying to just encounter build. Speaking of which, you could spec into extra resistance since high-risk sword users aren't exactly super common. Could try to fight mages with DC, but Itsuki also has a Falchion, and the higher res can help you out with the more aggressive dragons. He's one free-to-play option if you want some dragon slaying. We did just get another new green one. Overall, Itsuki got an okay refine for Heroic Rail unit. His session-based stat boost might be a little troublesome, however at minimum you still get +8 to all stats, and he gets extra speed and res, unlike before. The free follow-up attack, damage reduction, and healing are also nice touches, especially if you wanted a bulkier sword unit. Next up we have Mythic Mirabilis. She's a slower, bulkier sword flyer and an Astral Mythic Dancer. Mirabilis powers up allies with her dance and deals enemies which the danced ally should then attack. As a defense Mythic Dancer, she's been quite annoying. Now let's start with the remixed upgrade for Whimsical Dream Plus. This is a dance ability, so grant another action to an ally. At the same time, it grants +6 attack and the low status to the ally, plus spread it around to all allies within 2 spaces. This will not include Mirabilis, sadly. Additionally, you inflict -6 attack on the nearest foes within 5 spaces of the danced ally, and then you spread those to any foes within 2 spaces. Fairly small changes here. The attack buff and debuff went from +5 to +6 and -5 to -6. The attack debuff range increased from 4 to 5 spaces. The big add-on is that low status for Mirabilis' team. It's not a super common status to get, but nullifying enemy field buffs is always good. Now for the Flower of Ease Refine, we got some base changes. This 16-might sword grants +3 res, and if penalty is active on any foes within 3 columns centered on Mirabilis, she inflicts another -4 attack, defense, and res on those foes in combat. At start of her own combat, if the foe has more than 75% HP or an active penalty, inflict -5 attack and defense on the foe. So, ideally, Mirabilis debuffs foes with her dance. This triggers her long-range debuffs on her weapon, and both will benefit her teammates. If Mirabilis needs to get dirty, she will get a couple extra debuffs for her own combat. The base debuff on the weapon went from -3 to 4, small buffs all around. For the actual refine, at start of combat, if the unit has more than 25% HP, inflict -5 attack and defense on the foe. Mirabilis gets a free follow-up, and after combat, if she attacked, inflict the flash status on foes within 3 columns centered on Mirabilis. More personal combat buffs for Mirabilis, including a follow-up. Now to help her team, after combat she deploys that flash status on foes, which prevents their counterattacks. Important to understand, at the current moment, the flash status does not deploy centered on Mirabilis, it deploys where the foe's space is. This only matters if you're attacking left or right. We do not know if this is intended, just be aware something may change later on. So overall, small upgrades here and there to Mirabilis' buffs and debuffs. The low status is a nice touch, and the AoE flash is annoying. However, to inflict flash, Mirabilis needs to attack, and if she's attacking, she's not dancing. Maybe Brave Marianne can help with that, but in normal circumstances, this could go unused. I do believe even if Mirabilis dies, the flash status will go off as long as she attacks. That could be clutch in situations where the fight has started, units are moving, and maybe Mirabilis gets baited to attack. Even if she goes down, an ally might be able to safely finish off a target or let you gang up on someone safely. You just need a defense team that can follow up afterwards. For playstyles, generally if Mirabilis dances an ally, then job well done. She buffs her allies with +6 attack and low, and then you debuff the foes from long range. For her remix, she's going to get chill defense res 3. Kinda tough to stat check with Sabotage, so the tier 3 Docho can be used to apply a penalty without dancing just every turn. That's going to proc her base weapons debuffs. If you just want Mirabilis to dance, then we don't really care about her combat performance. Ideally, if she can survive a round, that would be nice, but we're not expecting KOs on any competent unit. She has a chance to double now at the very least. Even if Mirabilis gets baited and dies, she's going to inflict flash in those 3 columns. If your team can follow up, then that's a very annoying status for the enemy, when generally baiting the dancer is a good thing. You can get kind of tricky with this though. For example, the all-powerful Wings of Mercy can let Mirabilis dance an ally, or it might send her in to inflict flash. If the later were to happen, at least you're going to get something out of it. Now, the one big addition I think a lot of the Flying Fairy dancers would like is Guidance 4 and or Soaring Guidance. The 2 space warp potential is so stupid, and it's excellent for defense teams. If you can't get those, we have lots of alternatives, including their tier 3 versions as Sacred Seals. Aerobags or Flyer Formation can give Mirabilis the warping. Technically Oath 4 does too, but that's selfish. If you want a 3 movement dancer, you could also actually run Odd or even Tempest. With the Odd Tempest Sacred Seal, you can run both. Might not be ideal for AI, but something like Nair Trace can also get you a Kanto dancer. For some other buffing skills, you could run Hold with their extended debuffing range. Crossspur can maybe reach your ally far away. We have one tier 3 Dance B skill. Firestorm Dance 3 grants Kanto 1 and Desperation to the ally, so that's pretty interesting. Now though, if you prefer survivability, Mirabilis can run Guard Bearing 4 or Gambit 4. Guard Bearing has higher DR for one enemy phase fight. Gambit has a consistent 50%, but you're gonna have to run Aether or Miracle. Obviously, pretty high premium for a unit we're not exactly expecting to be a fighting god. But percent TR is percent DR. Maybe you like using Mirabilis in other content, then you can have a fun time with those skills. All in all, Dance Refined / Remixes are usually pretty tame because Dance is already super powerful. If they can fight, it's a nice perk, but the Fairy Dancers have their unique support dances, most intended for Aether raids. The Flash status is nice add-on though. It can really mess up attackers if they bait Mirabilis at the wrong time. It's definitely annoying. Solid Refine and Remix. Last up for this month is Mythic Hel. She's a dark mythic axe flyer that has pretty good speed. As a pretty much pure common mythic, Hel's gonna struggle without those free blessing stats. However, as death itself, she has ways to avoid dying, and this refine / remix make her even more annoying to kill. It also gives Hel a way to cause some backline trouble. Let's start with her refine. Hel's Reaper got a very nice buff. It's a 60 might axe like Sword Specials and gives IOT shield. If the foe is not a mage or healer, Hel will target the foe's res stat and she gains Miracle. If the foe initiates combat or has more than 50% HP, she gets plus for all stats and restores 7 HP after combat. Hel's Reaper works the same as before. Unless it's a mage or a healer, she cannot die in one shot, and it's going to target resistance only. While extra stats are nice, it's the 7 HP heal after combat that is a really good addition. Basically, it lets Hel heal back up so she can continually proc Miracle over and over. If you do not have a mage or healer, Hel can be extremely annoying, and you either have to double her or have brave attacks. Now for the refine, at start of combat, if the unit has more than 25% health or an active penalty is on the foe, grant plus for all stats, deal 20% speed as true damage on hit, and reduce the first attack by 40%. This feels a little lazy, because if Hel uses Miracle and heals 7 HP, that's not enough to get back above 25% health. Additionally, Hel does not inflict any penalties, so yeah. She also got Distant Pressure as her free remix skill, and while it's a nice speed boost with DC, it also inflicts recoil damage, so not the best synergy. Regardless, at least for the first fight, Hel generally should be able to get plus 8 to all stats, some true damage, and some damage reduction. Speed is an important trait for Hel, and her remix will ensure it's worth stacking. For Inevitable Death Plus, this is Hel's unique C skill. For each foe within 4 spaces, Hel can move to any of the nearest spaces next to that foe. Hel then inflicts -5 to all stats on foes within 2 spaces of herself. Last, if she outspeeds, she gets full no follow-up effects. Her Spectrum Rain debuff has got bumped up from -4 to -5, and no follow-up is going to make speed super valuable. For one, because of Hel's Reaper and Miracle, if Hel does not get doubled, she literally will not die. Outspeeding with no follow-up ensures this is the case unless the foe brings brave attacks. Additionally, her damage reduction is 1 hit only, so same idea there. As for the first part, this is a very fancy way to say Hel gets 3 movement if foes are within 4 spaces. The catch is that she can pass through structures or frontline foes to get to the backline. That's because this is a warp ability. However, because it's a warp bubble will stop it completely. Now the big thing to understand is that Hel only gets to warp to the nearest space. She's not going to be doing any teleporting behind you shenanigans. Now, as a combat mythic who can't get bonus blessing stats, this refine / remix isn't giving Hel an absurd amount of power. She's got some really nice perks and extra stats, but nothing out of the ordinary. I would say Hel's playstyle is a little split. For Aether raids, do we try to make Hel as hard to kill as possible, or do we want Hel to warp forward, lose lots of HP, survive a miracle, and then let allies warp to her with Wings of Mercy? The first can be useful if Hel is in formation before moving, or if she's facing a major healer. The second is for getting into the attacker's face and causing trouble. Hel's main go is to be annoying to fight and take down. She gets distant pressure for free, which is distant counter with +5 speed at the cost of -5 recoil damage. Hel's Reaper heals 7 HP, which is fine to loop Miracle. However, distant pressure doesn't grant its speed if you're under 25% HP, so that's really awkward for when you want Hel to just keep looping Miracle. Regardless, with distant counter, Hel can fight back against anyone, and if you fight a major healer, she can be taken out. This can be where stacking percent DR could be useful. Guard bearing 4 is the natural upgrade for Hel, and it fits distant counter to just survive at least one round of combat. This build is more to cover for when Hel is not moved yet from her defensive position. Percent DR doesn't help if Hel is looping Miracle at low HP, however, it can stall for time before you get there. Now let's say you have a Far Savior in your defense formation. If Hel doesn't need distant counter, you could go with attack and speed Clash or Catch. Clash works with her warping and deals with debuffs. You're free to go full damage thanks to Miracle, although obviously a major healer can really mess Hel up. If Hel can get aggressive, Gale Force can be a fun option. You're going to need some cooldown, so Heavy Blade or someone like Legendary Heineka can get it going. If Hel has Gale Force when near the enemy team, she might be able to snipe a target even further back or just to the sides. For example, it might let her avoid a Savior completely. To pair with this, Flared Sparrow can lay down the flame tiles and its extra out of combat damage. In fact, Hel can stack true damage sources a decent amount. For example, she can get 20% speed true damage on her weapon. You can run Flared Sparrow. You could also get Gambit, but sadly, Gambit doesn't work with Gale Force. It will work with Dancers though. While not an extra action like Gale Force, Nurture's Kanto could give more options to Hel on a Wings of Mercy type team. You could also run Flyer Mobility Sacred Seals to warp around the team, or let teammates come to Hel. Sadly, not really room for Guidance 4. While all of this is fun, there are some HP conditions I want to mention again. We talked about distant pressure when Miracle is looping on low HP. It's not going to give us extra speed. Hel's Refine also won't proc when under 25% health, meaning you're going to lose stats, no true damage, and no 40% DR, although that one's not as big. Now the Refine can proc if there is an active penalty on the foe. But now you're going to need a skill like Speed Smoke or outside debuffing help. In addition, if Hel is initiating, she has to fight a foe with higher than half health. In our Gale Force example, or maybe after a dance, if Hel were to fight a low HP foe and doesn't kill them, but then Miracle still procs, she's not going to be able to heal after combat, and then you can't loop Miracle. As a player, you can just avoid this by not attacking. The defense AI might not do that. Now, Hel's Refine isn't perfect, but you can see what they're trying to do. As a common mythic, she isn't super oppressive in the killing department, but she can be annoying to actually finish off. Stalling is fine in Aether Raids, Jimin's strategy. If she isn't dead, she can also warp around, and if she still isn't dead because of looping Miracle, then that can lead to some really dumb Wings of Mercy type situations. Not cleaning up your kills leads to all kinds of issues in Fae. While I feel there are some issues with the Refine's activation conditions, generally it's gonna work. For non-Aether Raid stuff, Hel is a hell of a lot better if you want to like using her. No Follow-Up is a really good buff. She can self-loop Miracle without Mystic Boost. We also got some neat skills to use such as Guard Bearing 4, Gambit 4, maybe even Flared Sparrow. There's definitely room to get creative here. That'll be it for this month's new refines. Let me know what you think about these new upgrades from Part 2. If you haven't seen it, Part 1 went over the CL5 winners. I'll have the link to that in the description and end card. That's going to be it for now. Next video, we're going to be talking about the new Wind Tribe themed banner. There are some spicy things going on there. Claude Time is back again. Thank you for watching. See you guys in the next video.